This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Thursday, August 20th, 2020. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. We've got a lot to talk about, and this is our normal mode. We're going to talk about the news. Mike in the control room is saying me too. And we've got a lot to talk about. And when we run out of news, we will open the phone lines for your comments, questions, and observations. At the moment, I'm watching Donald Trump. He's making a speech from Pennsylvania. And actually, he's just now wrapped it up. And he's out there, basically the message is if you want more violence in the streets like you're seeing in Chicago and Portland and so forth, and then vote Democratic. But if you want to put up a wall against this kind of liberal craziness, you need to vote Republican. And the audience seemed very receptive to his message there. All right, so let's get right into the news here. The DNC is not doing very well in the ratings race. In fact, they're pulling about roughly half of the audience that they pulled back in 2016, and it is declining rapidly from the opening night on Monday. So this being the final wrap-up where Biden accepts the nomination formally, this will be the end of it. And then, of course, we have next week is the Republican National Convention. We'll see what happens over there. Barack Obama did his speech from the Museum of American Revolution at the DNC and basically slammed President Trump and just went after him tooth and nail. That seems to be the Democrats' only message out there, is get Trump, get Trump, get Trump, get Trump. They're not even talking about their agenda anymore. And we're getting this disturbing story from TMI that the Democrats, if they win in November, they're not going to implement the agenda they're promising their voters. They're going to be working on deficit reduction. And apparently the story was solid enough where the Biden campaign has had to respond to it and backtrack a little bit. Hillary Clinton got up there last night and was speaking about how she won the popular vote back in 2016 and how Trump could steal the election again. She still won't let go of that. And the good news is, as of tonight, Hillary's opportunity to pull some kind of a grandstand seems to have closed. And I, for one, am glad to see that. Okay, story coming out of Russia Today. The left's failure to recognize a massively changed economic landscape gives Trump a real chance of winning this election. Domestically, society is polarizing under his administration, and the electorate fears that the country is heading in the wrong direction. Internationally, allies are alienated and adversaries are provoked, while crucial international treaties are collapsing left and right. Yet the tendency by the political media establishment to dismiss his voters as xenophobes and imbeciles is a mistake. So here you have Russia Today is out there saying that Trump is likely to win re-election here. Okay, Trump has released a new campaign ad against Biden and Kamala, saying Democrats have ruined their cities, don't let them destroy America. And that's a topic that Trump hit on this speech that he just got done making over in Pennsylvania, which is look at all these Democrat-run cities, okay? Look at all these Democrat-run cities and understand if they get control of the entire country, it's all going to be like this. Now, I know we had a caller yesterday who said once the Democrats are in charge, they're going to clean up the mess. I don't think so. I don't think so because of the very nature of the way the Democrats view money and voters and the citizens. I don't think it's really going to happen. Okay, apparently a Chinese communist newspaper is endorsing Joe Biden, describing him as smoother to deal with than Donald Trump. And let's see, the Chinese communist newspaper, the Global Times, says Joe Biden may reactivate the job-killing TPP and the Iran nuclear deals pushed by the Obama administration. China is rooting for a weak America. Trump is rooting for a strong America. That's quite an endorsement. Okay, Jill Biden has taken to the airwaves to defend Joe Biden's cognitive ability, continues to say it's absolutely ridiculous to even question that. And, you know, it's kind of weird because remember when the New York Times published an anonymous op-ed claiming that White House cabinet members were whispering about removing President Trump by invoking the 25th Amendment to claim that he was mentally unfit. Trump immediately hit back, slamming the failing Times and their gutless anonymous source. Well, in the case of Biden, it may really be an issue, because he keeps proving that the marbles aren't all there. So anyway, Charles Ortel now, he's a Wall Street analyst and he's very good. He's saying it's unlikely that the Democratic Party will win the upcoming presidential election, even though mainstream media and academic thought leaders are stridently against Donald Trump. Well, they were against him in 2016. Remember, the faux media polls were out there saying that Hillary had a 90% gain. She was a shoo-in. She was absolutely going to win, and it did not happen. Nigel Farage is predicting Donald Trump will win in November. He's declared that Joe Biden is wholly unfit for high office. So the architect of the Brexit movement in the United Kingdom said that the Americans should not believe the national polls, saying that he will stick his neck out and predict that Donald Trump will indeed win re-election in November. I wouldn't believe the corporate media polls anyway. They've lied to us so much. Michelle Obama, in her speech, hit the immigration issue and talked about, you know, children being put in cages and by Donald Trump, ignoring the fact that the cages existed under her husband's administration. Apparently, Associated Press did a fact check on her and pointed out that Michelle completely ignored the fact that her own husband, former President Barack Obama, used the same facilities for the same purpose during his time in the White House. The AP took her to task for this, saying that her claim was misleading at best and was a completely distorted comparison. Now, Goodyear is still in hot water. They came out where there was this leak of a slide during an orientation saying that things like Black Lives Matter t-shirts were okay, but anything with a conservative activist bent was absolutely forbidden. So this employee leaked a screenshot of a slide that was displayed during diversity training showing what types of political expressions permissible in the workplace. The policy deemed statements promoting Black Lives Matter, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender pride were acceptable. However, all lives matter, blue lives matter, MAGA attire, or other materials supporting conservatism were declared to be completely out of bounds. Goodyear is now trying to backtrack on that and say that, well, they're not sure where that slide actually came from, that it wasn't supposed to be part of the official presentation. It's a little weak, frankly. Donald Trump is calling for a boycott of Goodyear. A lot of people are already out there saying, yeah, time to trade in for Pirellis. And apparently he's going to take the Goodyear tires off the Beast, the presidential limousine. Anyway, talk about COVID-19 here. There's a lot going on. Article coming out of redstate.com. The Annals of Internal Medicine just published a comprehensive new study on how contagious COVID-19 really is. And apparently the case for a number of popular new practices that seem to have filled some spiritual need for self-abasement by Americans just completely collapsed. The list of practices no longer having any conceivable rationale includes closing down schools, closing down gyms, barbershops, or other businesses, limiting the number of patrons allowed in restaurants or other businesses, mass testing for COVID-19, putting healthy people in quarantine, keeping a distance of 3, 6, or some other arbitrary number of feet away from healthy individuals with no criminal intent, wearing masks when it's not Halloween. Likewise, for any humiliating rituals state and local officials plan on forcibly enacting to keep you safe from the scourge of COVID-19 that their own sense of self-worth precludes participating in. In other words, it's all been for show. All been for show. Righty. Now, a top Russian scientist says the Western criticism of the world's first coronavirus vaccine is prompted by fear of competition and loss of face. The vice president of Russia's Academy of Sciences, Vladimir Chekhonin, says they're upset when they're lagging behind Russia. He said he does not think this situation would last too long. A vaccine will soon be registered in China. I'm sure it'll be done within 2 or 3 weeks. And he says such a vaccine will be registered in the United States by year's end. Told you it was all about the money. All about the money. All righty, let's get up to the Portland situation. Remember that Portland protester who kicked that truck driver unconscious? And he's on the run now. Well, apparently he's gone public on social media begging for money in case he gets jailed. He's trying to do fundraising on the internet, on social media, to try and have. Well, he's just out for the money, basically what it is. He's out there begging for cash. And speaking of going after the money, bad timing on this one. Donald Trump's former aide, Steve Bannon, is arrested and indicted over ripping off $25 million crowdfunded border wall scheme to pay for his and his co-founders' lavish lifestyles of boats and private jets. He's looking at 40 years in prison. And apparently he's been charged with defrauding hundreds of people as part of a group that promised to use private money to build a section of the border wall, a signature issue of the president. And you can just guarantee the Democrats are going to try and link the two, saying that Bannon's crimes, that Trump was part of it. And Trump has already gone public saying he had no idea what Bannon was up to after Bannon left the campaign here. Now, they're still going on and on about vote by mail and what's going on with the post office, and they're demanding the resignation of the Postmaster General, even though the Postmaster General has put a halt to all changes to the postal system until after the election. But over on Twitter, they're saying that viral tweets pushing misinformation about the Postal Service do not violate the company's policies and will be allowed to remain. Another article about Twitter. This one is coming from Russia Today. If you can't compete, cheat. Twitter's shadow banning of Russia Today and other state-linked media proves the U.S. narrative does not measure up. With less than 3 months before the U.S. elections, Twitter has all but memory holed Russia Today and other state-run media. Even searching their handles draws a blank. For a supposedly free market country, the U.S. sure hates competition. The official Twitter accounts for Russia Today, Xinhua, and other media outlets owned by certain governments the U.S. doesn't like are being pushed into the shadows, confirming that Twitter is getting serious about its role as one of the chief enforcers of U.S. informational supremacy. But deploying the memory hole against Washington's rivals is tacitly admitting that the same informational supremacy would be doomed without such heavy-handed censorship. And it would be. They can't win the war of ideas. So they're just going to shut the competition out. Facebook has banned another 900 pages and groups linked to QAnon, and the conspiracy theorist group, militia, and violent movements tied to protests will be stopped from buying ads on its platform. Facebook expands their policy against dangerous individuals and organizations. I assume that includes me. Facebook said in a press release on Wednesday that it has taken steps to expand its policy concerning dangerous organizations and people and restrict the reach of conspiracy theorists like QAnon and others who have demonstrated a significant risk to public safety. Today, we are expanding our dangerous individuals and organizations policy to address organizations and movements that have demonstrated significant risk to public safety but do not meet the rigorous criteria to be designated as a dangerous organization and banned from having any presence on our platform. Okay. Facebook purges and restricts thousands of QAnon, Antifa, and militia accounts, stretching definition of dangerous individuals. Okay, Facebook has removed thousands of groups and pages related to the QAnon conspiracy after expanding its concept of dangerous individuals to include those who merely celebrate violent acts. Streisand effect meets slippery slope. Up in Portland, their police chief is pleading for an end to the endless destruction. I think they're in their 84th night. 200 rioters start fires in the street and attempt to storm ICE building while spraying graffiti and shining lasers at the cops. And remember, these are the people Democrats are saying are mostly peaceful protesters. Portland protesters set fire to the county government building. They broke out the windows of a county government building, sprayed lighter fluid inside, set a fire in a demonstration that started Tuesday night and ended Wednesday morning with clashes with police. The fire at the Multnomah building damaged the county government's Office of Community Involvement, where Oregon's first gay marriage took place and where protective gear has been distributed to try and prevent the spread of the coronavirus. This is the heart of our county, where people in our community come to get married, get their passports, and celebrate their cultural traditions and diversity. Okay. Now, this disavowed Black Lives Matter leader is defending the looting and rioting because, after all, the U.S. steals diamonds and oil. And so apparently Hawk Newsom, the head of the New York branch of Black Lives Matter, refuses to condemn looting as an ethically questionable activity, saying, so when America goes and steals diamonds and oils, who's calling us terrorists? When the American government goes and pillages different countries, who's calling us terrorists? So that's the latest rationale for the looting. You know, the U.S. does it. We're allowed to do it too. It's reparations. It isn't. It's looting. Let's just call it what it is. It's looting. And yes, it's wrong when the U.S. does it too. Does that make you feel better? Two wrongs don't make a right. All right, a little bit of economic news here. The Bank of Nova Scotia is paying $127 million in fines over criminal precious metal manipulation. And apparently back in April, one of the pillars of the gold trading business, Bank of Nova Scotia's Scotia Mocatta business, was closing after failing to find a buyer in a sale process that started in late 2017. As we further reported, Scotia was for years the world's biggest lender to the physical precious metals industry, with a history stretching back to the founding in 1684 of London gold dealer Mocatta Bullion, which it bought in 1997. Once a global player with more than 100 staff and offices from New York and London to India and Hong Kong, the bank effectively exited the business in 2018 following the above-mentioned strategic review and unsuccessful attempt to find a buyer. Okay, apparently right now, the middle class are in trouble. It now takes 53 weeks of median wages every year to pay for basic needs. A reminder, it's only 52 weeks in every year. So people are sinking more and more into debt. They're unable to meet the basic needs. Turning to the international news, militants shell towns in Syria's Aleppo, according to the Russian military. Militants from Hayat Tahrir al-Sham have attacked a settlement in the Syrian province of Aleppo. This, according to Rear Admiral Alexei Sherbitsky, the head of the Russian Defense Minister's Center for Syrian Reconciliation. We have registered one attack on the settlement of Basrutan in the Aleppo province from the positions of Jabhat al-Nusra terrorist organization, Sherbitsky said. The Rear Admiral added that Russian military police units had also conducted patrols in the provinces of Raqqa, Hasaka, and Deir el-Zor. The largest U.S. base in Syria has been targeted in a rocket attack amid soaring tensions with locals. The largest U.S. base in Syria was targeted by a number of missiles in the eastern countryside of the Deir el-Zor governorate on Tuesday. According to reports from eastern Syria, the U.S. base at the Kanoko oil fields was targeted with a number of rockets fired by an unknown group in the Deir el-Zor countryside. Up in Afghanistan, the Afghan army tells their personnel to be ready to return fire against Pakistan. Constant tensions along the ill-defined Afghan-Pakistan border look to be coming to a head again, with the Afghan army issuing a statement in which they instruct personnel to prepare for retaliatory fire against the Pakistani military in case they cross the border. This comes after an overnight incident in Kandahar, in which Pakistani artillery fired across the border, killing 9 civilians, wounding scores of others in a residential area. Details are still not entirely clear. The incidents are not clear but not unusual, as the Durand Line border tends to be contested by both sides. Cross-border fire happens often without a solid explanation. So there's another flashpoint that we can be keeping an eye on here. Okay, a recent satellite photo managed to capture a Chinese submarine entering a cave base on Hainan Island in the northern end of the South China Sea. A photograph of the sea outside the Yulin Naval Base by private Earth imaging company Planet Labs captured an unusual scene, a large submarine positioned just outside the mouth of the cavernous Chinese citadel. The photo was first posted on social media by Radio Free Asia, a U.S. government-funded media outlet that's part of the U.S. Agency for Global Media, along with Radio Free Europe, its propaganda outlet. In the image, a submarine flanked by 2 small surface vessels sits just outside the mouth of the cave, leading to the base facing toward it. Here we are. Now, shades of Strategic Defense Initiative. The U.S. Oh, we got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did. The towers in New York.
Welcome back to our show here, and a reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network is in a perpetual state of fundraising, and the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. Okay, we're just getting word now that Steve Bannon has entered a plea of not guilty regarding the fraud that he's been charged with, and is going to be released on a $5 million bond. Getting on back to the international news here, the U.S. and Japan have just teamed up for multiple joint air and sea exercises in a message to China. This is an implicit message to China. The Japanese and U.S. militaries have teamed up for exercises involving warships, heavy bombers, advanced fighter jets, and an aircraft carrier in the waters and airspace near Japan. The scale and tempo of the multiple joint exercises was noticeably large and came as Sino-U.S. tensions continued to spiral over security, economic, and human rights concerns. Meanwhile, the U.S. and Japan are getting ready to build a network of missile intercepting satellites. I mean, this is right out of a Strategic Defense Initiative. The United States and Japan will jointly build a network of small satellites capable of detecting new missiles, as Tokyo warns of increasing threats from North Korea. The purpose of the satellites will be to complement the currently existing system of missile defense, which includes Japan's PAC-3 missile interceptors. The U.S. is now calling on Iraq to dismantle all their armed groups, with Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa Kadhimi set to visit the U.S. this week. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is demanding that Iraq dismantle all Shiite militias in the country, calling them a threat to national sovereignty and promising U.S. support in doing this. The U.S. has long had a problem with the Shia militias, even though in recent wars like the ISIS war, they were on the same side. This is because the militias are friendly with Iran, and the U.S. sees them as a potential enemy in a future Iran war. This has been a hassle for Kadhimi since he took power, and he's seen as a U.S. ally, but also needs to try to avoid outright fights with the militia. This has left a tenuous balance, and one that the U.S. wants to tip the scales over. Now, Washington is offering aid to Lebanon, to Beirut, to rebuild from the horrendous explosion, as long as Beirut dances to its tune. A senior U.S. official has declared that no outside aid can fix Lebanon's problems, yet in the same breath offered funds to alleviate the country's problems, provided Beirut toe the American line. In the aftermath of the devastating explosion that leveled much of Beirut and killed more than 200 people, U.S. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs David Hale has condemned Lebanon's ruling elite, declaring that his government cannot fix the country's problems from outside. Well, the government has already resigned. Lebanon's forming a new government. Donald Trump is out there, as of yesterday, saying he intends to restore all the economic sanctions against Iran, which were reimposed in 2018 when Trump accused Tehran of breaking the terms of the 2015 nuclear deal. Trump told reporters at the White House he was sending U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to notify the UN Security Council that the U.S. intends to restore virtually all suspended sanctions on Iran. It's a snapback, Trump said. I think it's a mistake. First of all, there was never any evidence Tehran had broken the terms of the 2015 nuclear deal. It was Trump who broke the terms of the nuclear deal by pulling out unilaterally. You know, this is Iraq all over again. Weapons of mass destruction, and nobody has any proof that Iran was doing any of those activities. Everything Iran was doing with nuclear technology was allowed to it under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So Trump is demanding full restoration of the U.S. sanctions on Iran, as Pompeo warns Russia and China not to meddle. Probably smarting from Russia and China's commentary on the arms embargo last Friday here. Anyway, Trump said the State Department will soon attempt to trigger a snapback of UN sanctions, as the top American diplomat threatened consequences for Moscow and Beijing if they try and block the effort. Pompeo is also out there saying that keeping nukes from the Saudis is a top U.S. priority. Nobody's allowed to have nuclear weapons in the Middle East except Israel, of course. And following reports that this is a specific concern of Israel, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says he believes that there's a real risk that Saudi Arabia will get nuclear weapons, and that the U.S. views it as a top priority to try and prevent the Saudis from obtaining such weapons. Recent reports, all centering on the Israeli narrative, claim the Saudis are processing yellow cake uranium, and they're getting secret help from China that could lead to the acquisition of nuclear arms in the future. I think they'd be more likely to get it from Pakistan, personally. This is an unusual place for the administration to be in, as the general support among arming the Saudis to the teeth, and Pompeo has repeatedly gone to bat for the idea the Saudis need more arms for their emergency state. These are, of course, all U.S.-made arms. Saudi Arabia's... another break for commercial. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website, by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly,
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome back to our show here. And Saudi Arabia is looking at the deal recently forged between Israel and the United Arab Emirates to establish normal diplomatic ties. And Saudi Arabia is saying they're not going to go along with that until there's Palestinian peace. And they're basically saying Saudi Arabia will establish diplomatic ties with Israel when Israel has signed an internationally recognized peace accord with the Palestinians. So I'm glad that Saudi Arabia is standing firm on that one. Meanwhile, Erdogan is out there talking tough, saying that no threats can deter Turkey's operations in the Mediterranean. That, of course, is aimed primarily at Greece. No threats could deter Turkey from seeking natural resources in the eastern Mediterranean, President Erdogan said on Wednesday, adding that Ankara expects actors in the region to take steps to de-escalate the tensions. Greece and Cyprus are locked in a dispute with Turkey over overlapping claims to areas potentially rich in resources. 2 Turkish survey vessels are in areas claimed by the 3 countries. On Tuesday, Cyprus said it was willing to engage with all of its neighbors on defining maritime boundaries. So another place they're fighting over here. Belarus sends missiles and drones to the western borders, says we won't budge, says they are responding to NATO activity. Actually, what Lukashenko is doing is giving his military something to think about that is not, coup d'etat, bring down the government like happened in Mali here. But anyway, the Belarusian defense minister has ordered troops in the western Grodno region to be reinforced with tactical missile units, drones, and air defense systems after President Lukashenko told him to keep an eye on NATO. Earlier, Lukashenko had said that increased NATO activities on the nation's western borders had sparked some concerns in Minsk, adding that movements near the Grodno region in particular got you thinking. The Belarusian military apparently took his advice to heart, as Defense Minister Major General Viktor Krenin immediately ordered the forces under the Western Operational Command to be beefed up with a tactical missile and multiple rocket launcher battalions, drone, and air defense systems. Another flashpoint. Sooner or later, somebody's going to do something really stupid. It's all going to blow up. I mean, you can just feel war in the air, can't you? Okay, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is out there saying that the European Union is not genuinely interested in human rights or democracy in Belarus. The real motivation is geopolitical. And he's absolutely right. Obviously, Belarus is in that key position between Europe and Russia, and whichever side they align with will have significant ramifications for future politics in the area here. So Moscow is alarmed by Western attempts to profit from Belarus' internal activities and believes its neighbors should be left alone. Speaking to TV channel Russia One, Lavrov called on Belarusians to sort out their own affairs and reject the nation of having to side with either Russia or the European Union. He added that members of the bloc weren't genuinely interested in human rights and democracy, but instead a desire to pull Minsk into their orbit. Now, this is an interesting story, and we need to pay attention to this very carefully because of what happened with the Skripals. Apparently, Alexei Navalny, who is a Putin rival, has been rushed to the hospital after supposedly drinking poison tea. And you need to read this very, very carefully. We assumed that Alexei was poisoned with something mixed with his tea. It was the only thing he drank this morning. So they don't actually know. It's a supposition. But he is unconscious and he is in the hospital. And apparently he's on an artificial lung ventilator. Now, did Putin have this guy poisoned? It's entirely possible. Or did somebody poison this guy to blame on Putin? Remember what happened with the Skripals. Over in Mali, the crisis is continuing there. The president has resigned after being arrested in the military coup. Okay, I heard something. Whoops. Okay. All right. So Mali's president Ibrahim Boubacar Keita has announced his decision to resign and dissolve the parliament in order to avoid bloodshed following his arrest by mutinous soldiers. Today, certain parts of the military have decided that intervention was necessary. Do I really have a choice? Because I do not wish blood to be shed, a tired-looking Keita said in a brief statement broadcast on state television from a military base in Kati on Wednesday. The development comes after hours after soldiers at the base in Kati, a town 15 kilometers from the capital of Bamako, staged a mutiny detaining an unspecified number of high-ranking military and political figures, including the foreign and finance ministers and parliament speaker. So it looks like Mali's about to get a whole new government down there. I hope it's an improvement for the people. Probably won't be, but I hope so. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan says his country will never recognize Israel until the issue of Palestine is resolved. This coming days after the United Arab Emirates reached a normalization deal with Israel. In an interview with the private Dunya News Network on Tuesday, Khan said Islamabad will not follow suit in recognizing Israel, in a reference to Abu Dhabi, which has reached a highly controversial deal with Tel Aviv to establish full diplomatic ties. Our stance is very clear from day one. And Quaid al-Azam Muhammad al-Jinnah has said Pakistan can never accept Israel until the people of Palestine get rights and a state. The Pakistani Prime Minister further noted that recognition of Israel equals to abandoning Pakistan's stance on the Muslim-majority Kashmir region. Now, here's an interesting story. Right now, Israel is bombing the heck out of Gaza, supposedly targeting Hamas in retaliation for these incendiary balloons that are continuing to drift across the border into Israel. I have to wonder who it is who's launching these incendiary balloons just at the moment Israel most needs them. Because remember, Israel is trying to find some way to demonize Hamas ahead of the International War Crimes Tribunal up at The Hague, which is investigating Israeli war crimes against the Palestinians. So Israel desperately needs for them to look bad. So incendiary balloons landed throughout the southern Israel on Wednesday as tensions continue to rise between Israel and terrorist groups in the Gaza Strip. Police sappers handled a number of balloons that landed within and near towns and residential areas in southern Israel. Israel's Fire and Rescue Services announced on Wednesday evening there were 28 fires throughout the day. All right. And of course, IDF jets launched retaliatory strikes on Hamas posts in Gaza. Anyway. 5 days before the deadline, Israeli election appears imminent as Netanyahu and Gantz lock horns. The two leaders have not spoken in over a week, and Israel appears to be headed straight to its fourth election in less than 2 years. With no compromise in sight between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud and Defense Minister Benny Gantz's Kahol Lavan parties over the state budget, Parliament could dissolve on Monday, and Israel will head to its fourth election in less than 2 years. Negotiations are deadlocked over a proposed bill to extend the deadline for passing a new budget, which expires on Monday. With talks stalled, Netanyahu and Gantz have not spoken in over a week. So we'll see what happens there. The United States is suspending all extradition and tax treaties with Hong Kong as it's no longer sufficiently autonomous, perhaps belatedly, but hugely significant following Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Germany, France, and Britain doing the same. The U.S. on Wednesday formally halted its extradition treaty with Hong Kong in protest of Beijing's previously imposed national security law and amid soaring tensions with China more broadly. The U.S. State Department announced it's part of a total of 3 U.S. bilateral agreements with Hong Kong being permanently dropped. Over at Boeing, they're starting to sort of hem and haw and hedge, and they're starting to change the name of the 737 MAX to the 737-8. And it's still the same aircraft, but that MAX name, they need that to go away. So apparently, Polish Inter-Air had ordered 2 737 MAX aircraft, the first order for the infamous airplane this year. The second reason was perhaps more notable. For the first time, Boeing officially dropped the MAX moniker from the jet's branding and substituted the -8. While the aircraft family is still the MAX, Boeing called the model the 737-8 for the first time in a deal, in an announcement. So they're renaming it. All right. The wildfires in California are just raging across the strait, tens of thousands forced to evacuate. This is up in the North Bay area. During a Wednesday news conference, California Governor Gavin Newsom revealed there are more than 360 known fires currently burning in California. The state is experiencing record heat levels. Well, yeah, the place is on fire, and has seen more than 10,000 lightning strikes in the last 72 hours. I'm wondering if they're going to try and blame that on Iran or China. We're quite familiar with these challenges, Newsom said, but there's no question while last year we experienced some acuity of fires, the total number of fires was substantially lower than we're experiencing this year. Newsom said the last 72 hours has stretched resources. Well, I wish them a lot of luck out there. The other problem they're dealing with is power. They don't have enough. And I'm looking at this article coming out of Washington Examiner saying that Green California has the nation's worst power grid. Mike in the control room David in Crucial Nonsense just said COVID causes lightning. Anyway, California has the nation's worst power grid, and a lot of it has to do with all this green energy and not building more oil and coal-fired power supplies and trying to rely on solar cells and wind, and it's not keeping up. At 6:30 p.m. on Friday, PG&E, California's biggest utility, began shutting off power in rolling outages to force a reduction in demand. Southern California Edison also denied power to homes beginning just before 7 p.m. Shutoffs impacted a rotating group of up to 2 million customers until 11 p.m. The California Independent System Operator declared a Stage 3 electrical emergency, the first such emergency since 2001. Spot electricity prices soared to more than $1,000 per megawatt hour, more than 10 times the usual price. All righty. Now, this struck me as a little sick. We're all familiar with that 5-year-old boy who was killed, shot execution style on his bicycle in his own front yard, by the neighbor. And apparently there was this detention officer over in New Jersey posted on Facebook that, well, the kid should have ducked. Kind of a little heartless, cold thing. And as a result, he's been suspended from his job. Well, good. I think a little sympathy for this 5-year-old boy. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and open the phone lines now, 800-313-9443, 800-313-9443. Elon Musk is working on yet another project. I mean, the guy can't sit still. He's got the Teslas, he's got SpaceX, and now he's working on something called the Neuralink. And this is basically your brain with a USB-C port in it. And that's Musk's vision for a brain-machine interface. Now, he wrote a white paper in July 2019 that he claimed his company Neuralink had taken a huge step towards building a scalable, high-bandwidth brain-machine interface system that would let the human brain stream full broadband electrophysiology data to a network, including using a combination of ultrafine polymer probes, a neurosurgical robot that sews them into the brain, and custom high-density electronics. Boy, shades of William Gibson. Neuromancer. A single USB-C cable provides full bandwidth data streaming from the device, the paper noted, the device having been stitched, in theory, to your cerebral cortex. Neuroscientists were varying shades of intrigued, appalled, and dismissive. The custom hardware would only pick up noise, they suggested. Interpretation of brainwaves simply wasn't that advanced. The ethical issues were pronounced. The body would reject this level of intervention. Where was the peer review of the paper? Well, it does sound a little ways out there. But on the other hand, if you look at Elon Musk's track record, true, he's not a very good businessman with Tesla. And, but you look at what he's doing with SpaceX, and I don't know, I wouldn't bet against him in the long run. And we know that somewhere down the road, this is going to happen. And you'll have, movies beamed directly into your brain, which means you'll be right in the middle of it, which would be kind of cool. You'd be able to, like in the Matrix, I need a pilot program for this helicopter. Boom, there it's downloaded. You know how to fly. That would be really cool. All right, we're going to take a phone call now from Dustin in New Jersey. Hello, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
And those kids in Iraq, Libya, and Syria, Duck, they got killed, the 5-year-olds over there.
Yeah.
There's Mike? There's no sympathy for anybody anymore. You notice that? It's just.
I've noticed that.
It's a total disregard for just anything being a human being. It's like, just think about that. What about in Vietnam? What about the 5-year-olds that got killed from the bombings in Cambodia and there?
And the napalm.
They get thrown. Yeah, they're thrown away like a piece of garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel bad for the 5-year-old and the family, man. I mean, it's horrible. People are animals, Mike, but people are animals even here. You know that. He killed a 5-year-old, so what do you think your government does around the world? We're all animals, man. All right, Mike. M. Baga. Make my bank account great again, right, Steve Bannon?
Yes.
M. Baga, right?
Yeah, I like that one.
Mike,
I want the hat. I want the hat.
It's M. Baga. Because you know what, Mike? It's not just Steve Bannon. It's 3 others charged, including, you saw that triple Iraqi amputee and his wife. They got jewelry, plastic surgery, a new SUV, cash. And I don't know if you saw the picture of the golf cart. It's like the Lamborghini of golf carts. It has like leather seats.
Yes.
It's blue. I mean, see, guys? I mean, and Mike, Trump might not be involved in it, but Don Jr. visited part of that fake. Was that a fake wall, basically? Basically, that was, I mean, was this basically a scam?
Well, they were skimming. I mean, they did collect a lot of money, and a lot of it went into the wall, but they basically skimmed a bunch off the top for their elevated lifestyles, and they weren't supposed to do that. That definitely counts as felony fraud.
Isn't that sad, though? You see how, like if you donate to anything, you never know, right? Like it's just everybody's on the take, it seems, right? Like everybody's out just for the buck. And they don't give a crap. And I never liked Steve Bannon. He was always a anti-Russia China basher, right?
Yes.
He was him and Peter Navarro. They're on that because they're an economic rival, and Steve Bannon knows that. But Mike, I'm going to switch over to I don't know if my internet was off yesterday because I was having some still issues from that hurricane we had. How do you say it? ISIS?
Yes. Yes.
But did you talk about the My Pillow guy?
No, I didn't, but we definitely do need to do that. So go ahead and actually, we got to take a break for commercials here. So Dustin, stay on the line. I'm going to come right back to you. We'll talk about the My Pillow guy after these words.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Red Pill Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners, so that you can get involved in the activism. Please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Dustin in New Jersey. And Dustin, you were going to tell us about the My Pillow guy.
Please, nobody don't eat a My Pillow, okay? Mike, what is oleandrin flowers? Like, what is that?
It's an ornamental bush, but it is highly toxic.
Edible?
No, it's very toxic.
Well, you know the whole story with that. Like he sits on the board of Phoenix Biotech out of Texas, and they're trying to get FDA approval, like to get this supplement put on the market. But obviously, you can't say it cures cancer or coronavirus or anything, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to get this pill on the market, but I'm like, he has a benefit of it getting on the market, right? He sits on the board. He plans, he stands to make a lot of money on something that's just like a supplement, right? Like, I mean, and I know Ben Carlson, he pushed a lot of, supplements. I ain't got a problem with supplements, but this is crazy. Mike, it's like you get your foot in the door of somebody you got that's powerful, and you can get your stuff pushed through, That's what it seems.
Well, let me back off here. Let me back off here and say, that oleander as a whole is toxic, but there may be an extract that they're pulling from it that is not. But again, you have to be very, very careful when you're dealing with supplements because, some of them make a lot of claims, which are documented, like Extendivite. And there's a lot of new ones that are coming along where you have to be a little bit more skeptical.
Yeah, because I'm like, I look back with Steve Bannon now and all. I mean, it's just everybody wants to make money, but man, I'm telling you, Mike, what a corrupt system we got. I mean, it's unfixable at this point, guys. It doesn't, like I said, Mike, it doesn't matter who you vote for. It's like you might have some minor things and stuff, but at the end of the day, the indictments ain't coming. I mean, what happened to Ghislaine Maxwell? Like what's happened with that? I mean, it's just on and on and on. Nothing.
Well,
the system remains, Mike.
She's in prison. She goes to court next July.
Next July, holy! But you know what, Mike? The system remains. Nothing's been fixed. Nothing's been improved. Hey guys, what's been improved?
We've lost our moral compass.
Yeah, man. Like it's. Oh, Mike, before I get off the phone, if I still got time, I want to go real quick to a study from Sydney and Shanghai. This is separate about the coronavirus. Let me not get this wrong. The less humidity, the more the virus spreads. The more humidity, the less the virus spreads. You understand that? Because with more humidity, there's more water particles in the air, I believe, right? So that would push. So that's a new study coming out, which the hot and the cold don't really matter because, when it's kind of hot and humid out, you put the air conditioning on, right? And doesn't that pull out humidity?
Yeah, it does. It tends to dehumidify the air.
And in the cold weather, you put on the heater. Doesn't that get out kind of the dampness, humidity with the heater on?
It basically it'll lower the relative humidity, but not the absolute humidity.
Can you do some research on that for me?
Yeah, I'll do some research on that for you.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, we're going to take a break for station identification. Got another caller waiting on the line. We'll be right back.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out thekosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones here to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
A couple of things, Mike, but I just want to start off with what happened in Russia there with the guy who got poisoned. There's no way I believe Putin was behind this. It wouldn't benefit him at all. He's very popular in Russia. It would be more likely possibly the CIA, or at least the CIA using Russians that don't like Putin to try to make it look like Putin did it. I think that's probably what happened with other poisonings in the past, and it's definitely what happened in Britain. The other thing I wanted to point out is yesterday, one of your callers, it was Miles from Maine. Again, he said something that's, I'm not going to say it's a lie. It's just not true. Just as he said the other day that I don't believe in God, which is not true. I do believe in God. He said I'm a socialist. Now let me get this straight. I am not I'm not anything of it. I'm not a socialist. I'm not a capitalist. I'm not a communist. I believe these are all economic theories. I'm a populist because if I think it's good for the country, I believe in it. Okay? Certain things, but as far as socialism goes, this demonizing socialism all over the world, even where it's done good, is just plain wrong. Gaddafi had a beautiful thing going in his country, and very high standard of living and all that. He was a socialist, and until Mr. Slick Willie there and Obama ruined it. Okay? And again, as far as Venezuela, Maduro, Chavez before Maduro, they actually turned a country that actually, despite what a lot of people say how rich they were, there were a few people that were rich. The majority of people lived in poverty, and they changed that around. Okay, but of course now with the sanctions, these brutal sanctions, things start to change. And Ortega, and by the way, Maduro is also a Christian, in case people don't know. And the same thing with Ortega, who's not only a Christian, he outlawed abortion, and he outlawed gay marriage too. I mean, I don't care. I don't care what, you can call yourself whatever you want, husband or wife. That's your business. I couldn't care less. But the fact of the matter is, he is not a, just because he may be a socialist or a communist, doesn't mean he just, doesn't mean he doesn't believe in anything. Okay. And if you look at Stalin back in the day after he got rid of Trotsky, Stalin actually encouraged families and rewarded families for having more children, not less children. Okay. So people who accuse, and that brings me to what's going on today with what I'm saying. When I talk about predatory capitalism, not capitalism itself, not the free enterprise system, but predatory capitalism, we go right to people like Bill Gates and a lot of these, what do you call them again? These high-tech companies, these technocrats. These are predatory capitalists. And what I mean by that is they get so much money, they make so much money, they start pushing their weight around, and pretty soon they even buy up the government. And that's what's happening today. They own the government. This is why this whole thing with the coronavirus and all that, they're using this for their own sake. They're making fools out of the American people with these stupid masks. And I understand now they're actually telling people they should wear a mask while making love. Okay? And they, these people are crazy. I saw it was Alex Jones before on that. One of his guests showed it. And they're using it even to say that coronavirus is actually racist. Can you imagine that? I know this virus is smart. It seems to be able to shoot a gun, fly a plane, or crash a plane, crash cars, crash motorcycles. But I didn't think it was that smart that it knows, that it's racist. But that's what that fool Cuomo, that murderer, by the way, Cuomo, said, I understand at the Democratic deal yesterday, Cuomo is a murderer. He should be in prison. Probably should be hung in public or beheaded, okay, for what he did. Just like at the Nuremberg war crimes, committed crimes against humanity. He purposely put sick people into those nursing homes, knowing that it would boost up the body count, and that's what he wanted, a big body count. That's why places around the country that have large amounts of so-called cases, like in Texas and Florida, they don't have large amounts of people dying, very few people dying, and most of those so-called cases, people don't even know they have anything. Well, maybe they had a little cold or something like that. But Cuomo knew he needed to boost up that body count. So did, by the way, the other clown there in New Jersey. It's all the Northeast, the worst, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and of course going to California with Newsom also. They did. And that witch there in Michigan. They purposely put people into these nursing homes, okay, and knowing they would get the body count they wanted. They wanted lots of dead people so they could scare the you-know-what out of the American people, especially in their state. And this is why now New York today is a police state for all intents and purposes, okay? New York City is a dead city. I've seen a picture. Ghost town. Everything boarded up. Can't even get into the city now because they got roadblocks and stuff just to get into that dump. And that's what that New York City has always been, at least for years, has been a dump, and now it's a real dump. This is what these people are doing, and this is not socialism. These are predatory capitalists of the worst type.
Yes.
Again, Miles. So you understand. I'm not saying we should have socialism or communism. I don't care what ism, as long as it does something good for this country. I believe the free enterprise system is basically good. But when it becomes predatory, the government then has to do something about it, because the only thing that has the power to do it. But when the government is owned, bought, and sold by these predators, it's very hard. What should happen?
Well, you descend into fascism at that point.
What?
You descend into fascism at that point. What we're living under is not capitalism, but fascism.
Well, it is fascism to a degree, yes. It is. But it's not communism. Not socialism.
No.
What they need to do to break these corporations up, they need to tax. If it was up to me, I would have humongous taxes on these billionaires. I'd tax the you-know-what out of them. And on top of that, I would have wealth tax, like maybe 20, 30% a year. I've already put that on my YouTube channel already a few times. Okay? I'd have wealth tax, like 20, 30% a year. I would break these people because they're dangerous, and they're dangerous to the freedoms. They're dangerous to our Constitution, Mike. Okay? They're destroying our democracy and our freedoms, and they have to be stopped. That's all I'm saying. It's not a matter, these are not, like I said, it's not free enterprise anymore. This is the worst type of capitalism. The same thing with Wall Street and Goldman Sachs and Monsanto, also practically owned by Bill Gates. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Predators. Right? That's all I'm saying. So, Miles, I'm not a socialist, buddy. Okay? But I'm not a capitalist either. I don't kid. These are economic systems. Some of them work at times. Some of them don't work at times. Right now, our system is failing. Capitalism we have in this country has become predatory, and it's destroying this country. I'm talking as a patriot, Miles, okay? I want this country to do well. Also, another thing, too, is the empire. We're building an empire. The empire is evil. When I say the evil empire, it is evil. You see what Pompeo is doing around the world for the empire. Mm-hmm. That is not doing this country any good. We are a constitutional republic, and we got to go back to being a constitutional republic, not an evil empire. And empires are evil by their very nature. Mm-hmm. Okay, Miles? So just so you understand me, all right, or anybody else who wonders what I think. And again, you can go, guys, gladly go to my YouTube channel, okay? All right, Mike. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks an awful lot for the phone call. We're going to let you go and switch over to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, good day to you. Very good day to you. Yeah, listen, let's go back to Dustin. He's bashing and trashing and dashing on Trump. I mean, one day I want to hear Dustin calling and see if he has anything nice to say about Trump other than bash him and this and that. And, look, Dustin, let's look at your senator there, Bob Mendez. Mendez should be put in jail for what he did. You people in New Jersey still vote for him. The people in New Jersey are still voting for a freak like Robert Mendez. What he was doing, no, he got off the hook. But Dustin's always wanted. Why doesn't he talk about the own politicians in his own state? Look at his governor over there. I mean, give me a break. I mean, yeah. Trump is maybe not what he wants, but Trump's doing a lot more. I can tell you what he's done. A few things. First off, he is trying to build a wall. He's forwarded the truth about illegal immigration. Okay, he's brought the cost of the price of pharmaceuticals down. Because I went to the pharmacy the other day and it went way down. And my taxes. So it's every day. It's unrelenting. But and by the way, we had a runoff here Tuesday, Mike, and the guy was running for mayor. He lost his butt, but Dustin should go support him because this guy wanted you to wear your mask 24 hours, even when you're going to bed. The guy said, I remember I told you the other day, this guy Suarez wanted you to keep the mask on, even while you're in your house. So, I mean, this doesn't make sense, but Dustin can support that guy. I mean, Mark's right. This mask stuff is a scam. That's all there is to it. And they're even proving that these masks are more filthy. What do you do in the mask when you go home and you lay it on the counter, Mike? Does all the germs all automatically disappear? Or are they still on the mask spreading all over the counter and everywhere else you put it?
They're still on the mask spreading all over the counter.
And, in 1968, when the Hong Kong flu hit, nobody wore masks. None of the kids went to school. And 600,000 people died. Dustin? 600,000. Not 150,000. Who's kidding who here? This is a scam to take Trump out of power, if you want me to tell you the real truth. And as far as Steve Bannon, well, let me ask you, Mike, was Steve Bannon getting money like on GoFundMe? I mean, doesn't he have a right to spend the money however he wants, basically? I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Well, basically, they set up a nonprofit. And, there are rules when the money goes in there. It has to go on out for the stated purpose, which in this case was building the wall. But apparently they've got him on some fraud along with 3 other people. And apparently they were just spending the money that people were spending. People were sending in money for the wall, and it didn't get spent on the wall.
Well, Mike, I don't understand that because this guy Bannon's on all kinds of news networks. I don't know what kind of salary this guy draws in by being a political whatever he is, but I'm sure he's making millions of dollars with his radio show, his TV shows, Newsmax. So why would this guy dip in a couple $100,000 when this guy's making is he that greedy? I mean, these people that greedy? Guy's making like $1 million contract a year. I don't understand it. These people
we don't. First of all, we don't know what Steve Bannon is making from radio, and I can tell you from personal experience, radio doesn't pay all that well. And Claire's laughing in the other room. But it does appear that Bannon was playing fast and loose with the rules, for this funding project for the wall, and. Apparently the prosecutors are convinced they've got him.
Well, Mike, you know what? I'll tell you what. So be it. If he's guilty, he needs to pay the penalty. What about Hunter Biden stealing millions of dollars? He bought a $450,000 house for cash. Hunter Biden, and nobody's talking about this guy. Why is he being arrested? He's the son of the vice president. Maybe it could be a president. It's bumbling Biden. Why isn't Hunter Biden going to jail like Bannon? Why haven't they got him indicted? Why haven't they got Comey indicted for those filthy lines?
Well, it's funny. In his speech today in Pennsylvania, Trump brought up that very issue about, why Hunter Biden just got away with doing what Hunter Biden got away with.
Absolutely, and I'm glad he did that. I didn't even hear that, but now that you told me that, but I'm like, wow, man, look at all these Democrats, all the rat and think stuff they get away with, Mike. And nobody's getting them indicted. I mean, that Mueller even should be indicted for the filthy lies. That guy was like a bumbling imbecile at that hearing that, what was that, a year ago? That was crazy. So, Mike, hearing all these guys bashing on Trump, yeah, go for it. If you want a bumbling buffoon of Biden, they'll be calling your show saying, oh, this guy's real kooky. And you know what, Mike? Kamala Harris will take that presidency over probably within a year. The chameleon, with her nonsense that she tried to pull last night. It was ridiculous. Me and my buddy started laughing when we saw that. Look at this. She's so oppressed. All the blacks are so oppressed, and the racism. Give me a break, Mike. This is off the charts with the ones that are oppressive, the crime committed against white people in this country. More white people are living in trailer mobile homes than blacks and Hispanics. No, man, this is all a big filthy lie. Like I said, the major networks are lying to the American public, the majority, like crazy, constantly, every day. It's a bombardment of filthy lies. And you know what? People are going to get fed up with it. I'm telling you, they're going to get outright fed up with this nonsense, this sneak and poop stuff. Yes, me, Mike. And you know, look, Bob Mendez is a perfect example, Mike. Why doesn't Dustin do a little? Why doesn't Dustin run for office in New Jersey? I'm throwing $20 to run against Mendez. I'll throw $25. How's that? Start a campaign, get a bullhorn, and I'll help Dustin. I'll fund them. I'll try to get a GoFundMe page for Dustin to go against Bob Mendez.
Okay, Tom. Okay, can you speak a little more directly into the microphone because you're fading out again?
Okay. Yeah, Mike. So, like I said, I hope Dustin would maybe think running a campaign because he's kind of conservative for New Jerseyan because his vote don't count. But if maybe some guys like him were to run for office, maybe they have a chance to take over back the political body of New Jersey. That's what, you know, I think he could maybe try something like that because this guy Mendez, he should be in jail, and he's still the senator of the United States Senator of the state of New Jersey, Robert Mendez. And that guy's a creature of the swamp big time. That's a big swamp creature there, Mike.
Yes.
I'm sure you're well aware of that, right?
Yes.
So that's, you know, that's what I basically got to say. And as far as Mark goes, last call, he's right. The masks are getting to be absurdity. I got to admit, it's absurd because, you know, in some areas I see people like right now, just a bunch of people not wearing masks, and some people are wearing masks. It's absurd. And the germs are going to fly. If there's so many germs in the air, then the whole ozone's contaminated. I mean, what is this? So I don't get it. I don't get where people are coming with this coronavirus. I mean, we had a Hong Kong flu in '68, and we survived it. The world's still here. I mean, a lot of people did pass on. I was just horrifying. Horrifying, but yep.
Tom? Yes, we have Dustin on the air. He wants to respond to you right now. So, Dustin, are you there?
Tom.
Yeah, let him go ahead.
Can I ask you a question? Hey, how you doing, man? You are great, dude. I'm pretty good, but hey, Tom, can I ask you? Do you believe in God?
What do you mean? What do you say? What do you say? Excuse me. What did you say? I didn't hear you.
Do you believe in God and Jesus?
Yes, I do. So, what did you say before that?
Well, all right. If Jesus kicks the money junkies out of the temple, if Jesus kicks the money junkies out of the temple, and it's Trump and Biden, does it matter who he kicks out? He kicks them both out. You understand that, right? They're both corrupt.
I say, bring in Mike Pence. Bring in Mike Pence from Indiana.
Why?
Pence would be a great president.
Isn't Mike Pence part of the establishment, though? He's part of the Mike Pompeo, Elliot Abrams, Gina Haspel, you know, the rest of the group. But, Tom, what's changed? What's changed? Let me ask you this. Doesn't matter if Biden's
who do you want, Kamala Harris? You want Kamala? Go ahead.
I don't want neither. I want Tom, I want a system that's like for us. We don't have that. Trump is not for us, guy. You know, look at Steve Bannon. He created MAGA, dude. Make America great again, not make my bank account great again. He created
But wait a minute.
MAGA.
Trump's cut.
Trump didn't create
One at a time.
Trump didn't create MAGA. It was Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon created that. Okay?
Okay, now it's Tom's turn. Now it's Tom's turn.
Well, okay, Dustin, who created Barry Soetoro, Hussein Obama Davis? Who created him, Dustin? Who created all these other presidents I ran?
The opposite of a corrupt system. That's what created. But Tom, I'm going back. Who created MAGA? Was it Steve Bannon? Yes or no?
You know what, Dustin? I really have done the research on that. Maybe he's probably a big part of it.
I did, dude. And it was Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon created Make America Great Again, Anti-China, Peter Navarro, that whole Bring America Back. But the guy's corrupt, dude. Steve Bannon's corrupt people around him.
He must be brilliant in some ways. Or maybe he's brilliant in some ways. In some ways, he's stupid. You know,
not brilliant, dude. He's not brilliant, dude. You're getting ripped off. These people make billions of dollars, Tom. Okay, billions. Okay.
Tom and Dustin,
Mike, have a
Tom
good
and
show.
Dustin, Tom and
Have a
Dustin,
good
we
show,
got to
Mike.
let you go. We got to take a break for commercials. Thank you for the phone calls. Back with more phone calls after these few words.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new EaseOff Model EZ4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The EaseOff lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the EaseOff? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my EaseOff?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new EZ4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. EaseOff LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Dan in Washington State. Hello, Dan. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Thanks for taking the call. I wanted to talk about socialism versus what we have real quick, but I just want to say I agree with Tom a little bit. Both the last callers, I don't know what's going on with Bannon. It's just another example of we don't know. If Bob Barr, I think Bob Barr is very corrupt, and but he was on Trump's team, so is Trump part of going after Bannon, or is it just showing Trump has no power in the government at all, or because Tom was right, the hypocrisy of going after Bannon over this compared to half of the Congress doing insider stock trading or Nancy Pelosi or all these things is pretty fishy, to say the least.
But,
Well, like I said earlier when I was reporting on the arrest, the Democrats are definitely going to try and tar Trump with Bannon's arrest and say that somehow they're linked.
yeah, and it's Bob Barr's. Bob Barr was involved in Iran Contra, right? And I mean, the guy's
Yes.
been dirtier than he's been part of the swamp, the biggest swamp creature we've had. With socialism, the word doesn't scare me. First of all, everyone has a different definition of it.
Yes.
But I think everyone should go on YouTube and type in Huey Long. And I started looking at Huey Long ran for president. I think it was against Roosevelt.
Yes.
So, and he had an idea to not nationalize Standard Oil, but anything over, say, like $10 million a year the shareholders got with Standard Oil would be directly distributed to the American people, kind of like Andrew Yang. But, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I was thinking, after Rockefeller got monopoly over the whole oil supply, the guy became so rich. And I mean, all the stuff we talk about, the New World Order, things like the Rockefeller Foundation on NPR, all of these things that guy's been doing behind the scenes, and I would much rather have a direct socialism like that than what we ended up with, because we ended up with a Rockefeller cabal, corporate Wall Street cabal that's running the country from behind the scenes versus
It's a big club and you ain't in it.
Exactly. So I thought, yeah, it's a good speech. Huey Long, share the wealth. I look back at it and I'm like, wow, that would have been a big change if that guy would have won versus Rockefeller. So
You mean Roosevelt?
Roosevelt. Sorry, because I mean it allowed Rockefeller to basically the guy became so dang rich. I mean, he's like our king. So I when you allow everything to become monopolized like Amazon, I don't think socialism is going to be scaring people like it used to, because the next step to something like Amazon is just to nationalize it at some point. Otherwise, you just have an oligarchy. But I think especially with something like oil, nationalized oil would have been a good thing. So that's all I got. Huey Long, share the wealth on YouTube. Check it out. So thanks.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot for the phone call. And we're going to switch over to Paul in New Jersey. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. Michael, I want to congratulate Mark in North Carolina, because he basically advocated for 2 or maybe 3 planks of the Communist Manifesto. So good job, Mark. Glad to see people are partial communists out there and basically agreeing with some of the teachings of Karl Marx. That's the kind of stuff that got me when I advocated graduated income tax. Oh boy, that ticked off John Stadtmuller on his show. And also, who's that guy in Florida? That guy, I don't even listen to him anymore because he won't let me call. Because I basically advocated, graduated income tax is a good thing, and we should have it. And we can't let these wealthy people centralize economic power in the hands of too few people. Economic power is still power. And economic power can easily translate into political power.
Yes.
And we see that through corporate lobbyists. So it's all a matter of excessive amount of power in the hands of few people, either economic or political. And socialism is a cure for that. And we have to be honest about it, about that, that really in the position of the working class in the United States and throughout the world, we can't let these wealthy people set up monopolies to basically wage war against our economic well-being. And if you think of it in these terms, Michael, since everyone knows the health of the United States and a republic is based on what? Having a thriving middle class, true?
True. Would you hold that thought? We need to take another break for commercials. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you and the thriving middle class after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite, a 7-herb combination made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, hawthorn, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Each herb was chosen for their abilities to help improve irregular heartbeats, chest pain, lower cholesterol, as well as normalize blood pressure and clean and strengthen arteries, plus much, much more. Doctors have taken people off of some or all of their pills just because they believe their patients got better while taking Extendovite. Get the dependability of Extendovite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings.
Welcome back to our show. Here we're talking with Paul in New Jersey. We're talking about socialism. We're talking about the desirability of a strong, thriving middle class. So, Paul, take it away.
Yeah, as I left off, I was saying that the health of the republic is based on a thriving and middle class. Okay, so now, and this is in Pat Buchanan's book. He discusses this issue. It's called The Great Betrayal, written in 1998. I remember it had a big impact on me philosophically. But what we have to think about is the treachery of the elite classes, because once you know the health of the republic is based on a thriving middle class, what do the wealthy go and do anyway? Well, they rig the economic system to depress wages And they do that by outsourcing, offshoring, and bringing in third world migrants. And so they're basically conspiring by their paying off politicians and lobbying to get that done, to drive people from the middle class into the lower classes, the working classes and the poor. And they intentionally do this. And they intentionally bring in third world migrants with no sense of connection to American history or civic duty at the same time. This is what our wealthy friends do. So as I've said for some years on this network, the wealthy have declared economic class warfare on the working class in the United States. That's what they've done. And here you have the Rush Limbaughs of the world and these other advocates of capitalism just keep telling you, oh no, pick yourself up by the bootstraps. You're not working hard enough, right? And they have no compassion for the fact that many people can't pick themselves up from their bootstraps. They're economically stuck. And that basically there's been a class warfare waged. And of course, we're not allowed to fire a return volley back at the elite who fired the first salvo against the working class. You see? And so when the working class says, "Hey, let's turn to socialism," now all of a sudden these fat cats like the Limbaughs and these advocates of capitalism, the Hannitys, right? They're like, "You're a dirty socialist. You're a commie." All the rest of that. The fact of the matter is, these people are conspiring to destroy the thing that maintains a functioning republic, and that is a thriving middle class. And we have to be honest about this. Lying about it isn't going to solve the problems.
No.
As I've said, a good nationalist, Pat Buchanan, has been saying this for the past 25 to 30 years, and the Republican Party has ignored him and kicked him basically in the teeth in public, and basically, sequestered him. And his views, he had written this all out. He knew about the Iraqi wars. He knew about the decline of NAFTA. Nobody has gotten things more correct in punditry than Pat Buchanan has. And he's the one to turn to. He should have been the presidential nominee for the Republican Party in 2016, not Trump. He gets it right. And on that note, Michael, thank you for letting me go off on a tear.
All right. Well, you're welcome, and thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Ken in New York. Hello, Ken. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. How much does it cost, or how much money is blown off when we have a military exercise?
Well, it's quite a lot.
What I believe is quite a lot. I would be interested in having somebody that actually knows how much it is call up. Because, I think our weapons and our machines have a habit of one-time use, and then they have to be overhauled. So now you got the defense contractors all drooling, and it's almost like a gift to the defense industry.
Yeah, it really is. A lot of these weapon systems, they're not designed to last too long because it's not expected they'll survive all that long in battle. Then you have the fuel costs, transportation costs. You have the salaries, of all the people who are participating. Military exercises do cost a lot of money. They cost almost as much as a real war.
Right, and what do they accomplish? You got two kids kicking water at each other or kicking sand at each other?
Well, hopefully they're training up the officers, to manage the battle real time, although more and more that's being given over to computers.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And let's see, we're going to go to, we lost Dawn in Arizona. So let's go to Daniel in British Columbia. Hello, Daniel. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Mike. It seems to me this Steve Bannon arrest, it's kind of, it seems like a war on private funding of a border wall. And that's just my take on it. The timing of it, just so close before an election,
yeah,
trying to tie it to Trump, you got the mainstream media. I don't believe anything they say about anything. But you got the National Rifle Association under scrutiny now with Wayne LaPierre and their status as using their funds for nefarious purposes. It's so selective. I mean, you look at the Clinton Foundation and the Haiti Earthquake Relief Fund. I mean, they paid for Chelsea Clinton's apartment, $10 million in New York City. I mean, that's where that money came from. You got Uranium One, you got Hunter Biden. I mean, it's very selective. It just seems like they're trying to link anything that has to do with the border wall as being nefarious and criminal.
Yes.
And, the thing should have been funded anyways as an act of national security. It should have been done already. Now, I know Trump, he's been trying to get this thing done for so long, but it just seems very political, kind of selective prosecution. And I don't know, that's really all I have on that subject. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this Bannon's worth $48 million. He made his money off of Seinfeld. What does he need with some little GoFundMe? It just doesn't make sense to me. But
well, we'll find out. He's pled not guilty, and he's going to have his day in court. And my guess is probably they'll urge for a delay until after the election. But meanwhile, the Democrats are going to go to town on this and try and, smear Donald Trump with this.
Yeah, that's exactly. And it's funny, too, because I've got a dear friend that lives in Oregon, and she's quite liberal. And it's just these talking points that she tells me, it's just like anything that she's told on the corporate media, she just believes it. I mean, I started talking to her about Obama and the 2008 financial collapse. And I said, look at what happened to Obama with that. And she's like, oh yeah, but he tried to bail out with all the clunkers or cash for clunkers program. He was such a great president. And, I love her to death, but she just, she just buys hook, line, and sinker everything the corporate media says. So this Bannon arrest, it's just like the NRA indictment on Wayne LaPierre. It's all the same. It's just to go after the conservatives, no matter what, even if it's fabricated. It doesn't matter because it just sticks. So with that, I'll leave you for your next caller. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Peter in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I don't know, about 6 or 7 months ago, even maybe it was around the time of the Black Lives Matter riots and things like that. It's been one thing after another. Well, they certainly polarized. The people who are pulling the strings here, the media that gins all this stuff, the people that own the media. They of course it's divide and conquer. It's the race baiting that goes on all the time, that they encourage black people to riot. They encourage everybody to be demonized, whites and all that. And I said back then that the next thing they're going to start, once BLM loses its luster in the public eye, and everybody's a little sick of the rioting, and they'll start to try to then they'll start to target the Hispanics. Yeah. And they'll do it around the border. I don't know if you remember me saying this to you. They'll do it around the border issue in the wall. And this may be the opening salvo in that, Mike, that this will draw attention. And if Bannon pleads not guilty, they'll hold this off until like late October, when the trial is still in effect, when the election is on. But we might not know the outcome, but the trial will be in effect. The media will cover it. They'll link it. It will also incite a whole lot of the Hispanics and the illegals and so on and so forth. It's all part of the deal, And I believe that many people, Paul and other people, were very right, and I think that Mark has said this as well, that if we're ever going to get out of this, there's a couple things that have to be done. We have to end the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
Cannot have a private. They can just have a business plan where they can print money out of nothing, charge us for it, and then rule the world. We can't have that.
No.
Why do we incur that cost? That's the first thing. The second thing is the media. Of course, that will go. If that goes, a lot of the media will go too, because they own the media. They own pretty much everything now. If you look at BlackRock, I think I sent you something, is now making a big push on defense stocks, and that's the Federal Reserve. But we're going to have to. One of the things, though, that absolutely has to be done is we cannot be the playthings of these billionaires any longer.
No.
And we cannot provide the Federal Reserve as an engine that produces billionaires. A certain ethnic group gets a supercharged assist, but we can't be playthings of these guys. What's this guy going to do? Bezos, who has $200 million, and I read an article a couple weeks ago said that he's on pace within 5 years to be the first trillionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I saw another thing where the five of the 10 richest people in the United States, guess what ethnicity they are? And by the way, they own all this, including the media. And so watch the Hispanic thing, watch them be weaponized as much as possible. They're basically a conservative group. They're Catholic and blah, blah, blah. But watch them weaponize and divide them as much as they can and incite them against Trump. Just like they did with the blacks and Black Lives Matter and so on and so forth. Demonize the white guy, blah, blah, blah. That's their agenda. And these billionaires, we can't live with them anymore and be their playthings of Sheldon Adelson and George Soros and Haim Saban and Arnon Milchan and Bloomberg and all these guys who are funding, by the way, things like they're trying to get the NRA, as somebody was saying just then. Who's funding, trying to fund get the Second Amendment? It's Bloomberg and Soros mainly.
Yes.
You can trace it back to these same guys. It's their agenda the whole freaking way. And I just wanted to bring that up. But we can no longer allow people to have $200 billion and they don't pay taxes at all. And they control the internet. They control everything. And we cannot allow that to happen. And if we have to bum rush them, the troglodytes like us in the valley, in the mud shacks in the valley, have to go after them in the glittering palace. If that's what the Civil War, which I believe is coming, because nobody's going to respect if the other side wins. I know I won't. But as long as it's directed, it's got to come. We cannot have these guys in their gilded palaces dictating, no First Amendment rights, no Second Amendment rights, no search and seizure or privacy, no nothing. Driving our wages down, as Paul said, doing all the things that they've been doing, getting us into wars for money. We can't have that anymore. That's got to end. And if it's capping estates off at 75 million or 50 million, enough to live really nicely and make sure your children live really nicely, but you can't buy a war or you can bend some congressmen, but not enough to cause a war or have a fake epidemic or whatever. So I'm just sick and tired of being played by these guys.
Well, there are a lot of people who feel exactly the same way. I'm one of them. And the way this country was originally set up, the ultra wealthy did pay taxes. They paid a lot of taxes, and the economy was much more balanced. But over time, our government has succumbed to fascism, and it's for sale to the highest bidder.
And Mike, this thing about demonizing socialism, listen, capitalism is efficient to an extent. there's got to be a limit to it. And everybody should have the right to live out their old age in dignity. Everybody should have the right to get to medical care.
Yes.
Things like that. If you call me a socialist, then I'm a socialist. But end the war thing, blah blah blah. But it's been so stigmatized. But you have to remember that capitalism starts out with greed is good. That's their initial premise.
Yes.
Gordon Gekko, greed is good, and socialism at least has the aspiration stated, of equality for as many people as possible. So there's always going to be a difference in the way hard workers should be rewarded, and intelligent people should be rewarded, but not to the tune of $200 billion, where they make enough money, more than 25% of the rest of the world, one guy or something. It's ridiculous.
It really is. It's completely out of balance. The wealth differential, the wealth inequality in this country has reached a very, very dangerous level. Anyway, listen, Peter, we're going to let you go. We got to take a commercial break here. We've got more callers waiting on the line. I'm going to try and fit you all in during the last segment of our program after these few words.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Red Pill Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take a red pill.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to James in Vancouver. James, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Oh, yes. Good afternoon. Is it your birthday yet?
No, Saturday's my birthday.
Well, I wanted to say happy birthday.
Well, thank you very much. I'll be years old. Sorry, there was a technical glitch there.
You and I were born in the same year.
Ah, then you know how old I am.
Well, no, but being born in that year, you know what we are. In the Chinese calendar, we're dragons.
Yes, we are.
Right. Well, there you go. Roger Stone was born in the same year as well. But anyway, the mask. Why are we wearing the mask? We're wearing the mask to please the government. The Tom in Florida was asking why we're wearing them, and I just wanted to comment that I'm not sure there's a difference if you get picked up by the communist secret police or the fascist secret police. I don't know if it really matters, because I believe, like you said, all wars are bankers' wars, and the socialists are getting their money from the same place as the so-called capitalists. So it comes down to that. That's my observation.
Okay.
So basically, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you for the phone call, James. We're going to let you go and switch over to Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, listen, after listening to another one of Paul from New Jersey's tirades about anything to the right of center, any millionaire to the right of center, I wonder what he might have to say about Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein and all the other many millionaire Democrats in Congress who have become millionaires, multi-millionaires, since they've been in Congress, and who are spouting this socialist nonsense. I just don't get the discrepancy there between somebody who rants about, say, Limbaugh on the one hand, and ignores Pelosi and Feinstein and others and other fraudsters who are pitching socialism or some variant of socialism on the other. It just makes no sense to me. And I'm curious whether he would call back tomorrow and please explain that. I'm curious.
Well, I'm curious too, and we hear a lot of people espousing socialism, but for everybody else except them.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly the point, because some of the biggest advocates of socialism are the people who expect not to be affected by it. Anyway, before I get out of here, I want to tell you, I recently got my ham license and my technician license. I just upgraded to the general license this last weekend. And it's made a big difference, because I'm being able to get now onto the frequencies that are not available to those in the technician license. And I think you would really enjoy that, Mike.
Well, I probably will, and in my copious amounts of free time, I'm studying toward my technician's license, and hope to be on the air. Anyway, my apologies to the callers who did not get on the air today. Please call back tomorrow. Please stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We need your help to keep doing what we're doing. We'll be back tomorrow. And aloha, America.